as do the Leeds crowd. And Jeremy Coney, you're shaking your head.
Well, so often a wicket comes from a break. A break creates the wicket. And you've seen that again and again and again, and it's happened just a moment ago. So Overton, well done to him. Little feathered edge from Latham, but Latham knows that he's made a terrible error there. He was on the move while he was playing the stroke, so it's not balanced at all, and he's just feathered it with his hands and a little catch through. And this at the worst time, he hasn't got started again. And I've written down here, get re-established. There it is in my book.
Yep.
To all the players. So the wicket goes at the start of the session. Now New Zealand have got to go back and battle now.
Yeah, the game changes very quickly with Latham, the set man, falling from his 100th delivery. He looked so good before tea, albeit with a chance put down by Joe Root at slip. But beyond that, through the session, he was looking to bat with purpose. He was putting away all the bad deliveries, but yes, that swish of the batters who's walking off, clear frustration, understandably so. And Jamie Overton, a wicket in the first innings, now a wicket in the second, and 97 between times with the blade, and that brings Devon Conway to the middle. Conway wearing the short sleeve jumper to join his captain Williamson. In the first innings, he was bowled by Overton for 26 in that middle session on day one. Hasn't had a great series, a couple of starts last week at Trent Bridge, but taken as a whole, this has been his least productive test series so far, Devon Conway, but overall an excellent record across 10 test matches. 3 centuries, including a double on debut at Lords last year, averaging in the low 50s. But England, they will know, a couple of early wickets in this session, it could open up very quickly. And it brings the crowd to life. Pearce makes as far as the eye can see in the Western Terrace, held aloft as Overton reaches the crease, round the wicket to Conway and hits him in the helmet. Or is it on the back? The England players race up to Conway to make sure he's okay. He was trying to sway out the way. Looks like it might have been the shoulder. First impression, thought side of the lid. Let's have another look on the Chemist Warehouse screen. The trainer comes out to the middle, as are the protocols in the modern game. Yep, he is reaching for the helmet, so he's been clunked. First ball wicket, second ball badged. An eventful start to this final session for Razim, the Pates Kiwis trust. And
they want a new helmet.
Yes, umpire Kettleborough signalling to the dressing room they need a new lid. Let's take a look now, Jeremy Coney.
Yeah, it's gone in short. It hasn't really gone up quite so much. You see, he's gone under because he's seen the length of the ball, and then it hasn't got up, and he's still in a nasty position, and that's why, in the end, he's had to turn the head away, so that he's not going to get hit flush in the face. And it's hit him above the ear, the right ear, and so he's just a bit shaken. He's fallen over.
Well, he's
fallen backwards.
Yeah, he's saying he's fine, and they're going to go through the usual concussion protocols that came in a few years ago. I'm not sure what they entail exactly, but there are a number of set questions they need to answer after being hit.
What is your name? But yeah, so, well, what a start to the session. Wicket first ball, and second ball slightly shorter, and then hitting the new batsman on a flush on the side of the head as well. So
this is what they want from Overton, isn't it? We talked a lot before the game, Jeremy, and on the first day when he was bowling, about Overton being able to bang it in at pace and get it up around the lid. And at times he struggled to get it up. It was a kind of chest-high short stuff, which was dispensed with. But yeah, extra yard, whatever he had for afternoon tea's worked so far, and we have this delay. And of course, any batter getting hit on the head, it must take a while. Did you ever get sconned when you were playing international cricket?
Yes. Yeah. I must say, well, helmets had just come in, Adam, when I played against the West Indies. That's when they were first used, and we didn't even have sort of straps to hold it on. That was a whole new notion altogether.
Right.
And so if as you're watching the ball, your head would suddenly rear back, jerk backwards. It would actually throw your helmet clear off your head. And I can remember Jeff Howes having to kick his helmet out of the way from going onto the stumps. John Morrison lost his onto his stumps, actually, against the West Indies when he was playing for Wellington. So, you know, it took a little period just to get used to things. He's trying on a new helmet at the moment.
So they must have satisfied the checkbox there for the concussion test. We might just take this opportunity to clear a couple of breaks for Razine. The Paints Kiwis trust 2 balls into this last session. New Zealand 125 for 2. They've lost Latham, and Conway just preparing to resume after being hit in the helmet.
Support. The thrill of live sport is awesome. For the best access to the big-time sporting events, talk to Ballpark Entertainment. AFL, NRL,
He claims a try.
hospitality packages at the racing,
The money there wins the cup by
even money can't buy experiences overseas, like the US Masters, Kentucky Derby, the Super Bowl.
rounds take Los Angeles.
Ballpark Entertainment can get you there. Making memories. Ballparkentertainment.com.au.
Want to win the ultimate 2022 Toyota AFL Grand Final VIP experience? Thanks to Choices Flooring, you and a mate could be mixing with the stars at some of the biggest events of the footy season. Experience all the hype of Grand Final week firsthand, then be at the big match itself, the 2022 Toyota AFL Grand Final. Prize includes all tickets, 6 nights accommodation and return flights. Visit iCanWin.com.au and you could win thanks to Choices Flooring. AFL authorised GF promotion, GFAFL 22/07.
We're nearly through the delay. You can see that Devon Conway's actually still talking to the physio. He's got the helmet back on. Between times on the Chemist Warehouse screen, we're seeing replays of when Jamie Overton hit Craig Overton, his twin brother, a couple of weeks ago, and had him subbed out of a game with concussion. So he's got form recently of getting it up there into the helmet.
Yeah, he walked right down to see his brother, actually, and then saw he was okay and then walked away again, and the rest of the team sort of gathered around him. It does rattle you a bit. Certainly it makes a heck of a noise, and then it's just a case of being able now to fit another helmet. I don't know whether the players have 2 helmets in their cricket coffins or not, or whether they have all the different padding around the helmet and so on, so that it fits comfortably onto your head.
Well, it does strike me as a little bit unusual that he wouldn't have 2 helmets there. At the moment, by the looks of things through by binoculars, they're taping something onto the helmet.
Yeah, they're readjusting the size of where the head goes, and just so it's much more comfortable.
What did we say at the start of the session? 37 overs to bowl. Well, they might get... we thought they might get 33 in or something like that. Make that about 30. And we're going to lose time here.
We never had those little bits at the back with the Philip Hughes situation. We never had those. They come off as well, some of them, don't they? Although some players, I think, make them more permanent, because that can fall on the stumps as well as you try and get out of the way.
So after about 8 minutes, we're preparing to see a restart, although they're still fiddling around with this helmet. You're right, it's the stem guards that they're trying to attach adequately, and now Conway finally puts the lid back on. The support staff have left the field, and we can just about get the show back on the road.
He looks okay. He's taken probably 4 or 5 minutes now to get over just how he was feeling, probably as he fell back. He looked a little bit woozy for a while, but he's fine now.
So we reset. Conway's faced 1 delivery. He's been hit in the helmet. There have been 2 balls in the session. The first brought a wicket. New Zealand are 125 for 2. And umpire Erasmus says play. 2 slips and a backward square leg in catching. Overton bowls and Conway takes on the short ball. Hit in the body. Predictably, he banged it in again. Didn't quite get up. And Conway had to wear one after not quite getting on top of it. Spills into the onside no run. Watching it back again for Chemist Warehouse. Yeah, that has hit him in the tummy. Hostile. That hurts too, I'm tipping. Gives it a rub.
Yeah. 2 men, there's a man 45 catching really, and also right beside the umpire.
Umpire Erasmus calls Overton off when he's halfway through his run. Another delay. So as you say, the man around the corner, a backward square. That's Matty Potts there for the short ball that's miscued. Overton round the wicket to the crease and plays with soft hands through the cordon for runs. Played it late, played it well. All the way along the ground. Conway off the mark with that boundary. 129 for 2.
Yeah, that's a better sign, I think. If you remember how he got out in the first innings, Adam, it was pushing at the ball and presenting the inside edge and then onto the leg stump. That one, he's allowed the ball to come to him just a little bit more. And while it's through the cordon, I think it's from more of the centre of the bat. It's high up on the bat.
What Overton did get there was nice bounce, nice lift off a good length. We'll try and do so again here. Bowls to Conway, defending from the crease. And Overton straight in, collects it off his own bowling. One ball left in this effective, efficient, hostile over. 98 is the lead for New Zealand. Jamie Overton in his 6th over, 1 for 21. And the crowd have come to life after going to sleep for a couple of hours there when the sun was out, but they're well fueled on Saturday. Headingley, that's always the way. Overton from the football stand, passes umpire Erasmus and bowls to Conway, who defends and does well. Finds a gap just through point. They'll get a couple of runs. That takes the lead up to 100 at the end of the over. 131 for 2 the score. Conway 4, Williamson 37, and our coverage for Rosine, the Pates Kiwis Trust.
The TAB Queensland Racing Carnival is where champions emerge. Over the years, legends like Might and Power, Black Caviar and Winx made their mark in the Sunshine State. Last year it was Zaki and Incentivize, and this year the tradition continues. Staged over 10 weeks with more than $21 million in prize money, including 8 Group 1s throughout the Stradbroke season. Everything you need to know is at qldracingcarnival.com.au. Queensland is racing. Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858.
We have a winner for our $50 drink and food voucher thanks to the Good Spirit Hospitality Group. Check out the Fox, Auckland's #1 sports bar, or any other of their 10 venues around New Zealand. Josh and Katie, who texted in earlier from Canterbury Plains, texting that they were painting their bathroom with Rosine's space coat whilst listening to the commentary in Canterbury Plains. And there they are. They won themselves $50.
I wonder if it was the top coat. Yeah, well, there we are. Space coat. I don't know. Well, it's not something you wear, is it, a space coat?
I don't know.
No.
They're the
wouldn't
winners.
think so if it was Rosine.
It's going to be Stuart Broad to start from our Kirkstall Lane end. There's a gigantic beer snake that covers 4 bays now in the Western Terrace. Williamson on 37. His first ball of the session, left alone well outside the off stump. But nice movement from Broad into the gloves of Bairstow, jumping across first slip. No boats, of course, as we found out before tea. He won't be here until tomorrow, at least, with that back injury, whatever it is.
Always got to watch Broad, don't you? Always. He's got good movement. He's got bounce on certain occasions. And sometimes, while he can look a little bit, ho-hum, not too threatening, he can suddenly pick the temperature up quite quickly.
Broad, 2 slips. Bowls here. Williamson defending with soft hands out behind point. Oh, I'm surprised. Sorry, I'm distracted by the beer snake. I've never seen one quite like that. Normally they get broken up. At the MCG, you get thrown out for that these days.
What, for making the snake?
Yeah, they don't like that. That's a no-no. But they're trying to join it from one side to the other. It's like
much easier to clean up, though.
True enough. There's a little bit of a gap about 3/4 of the way over. They're just trying to bring it together with more cups. There must be 200 people holding it up, enjoying their day at the cricket. All dressed up, of course. Here's Broad to Williamson, 37. He stays on 37 with the forward press. The lead's 100. And usually you'd see the stewards getting involved at this point.
You would.
But maybe they're working on the basis that while they're distracted, they're behaving well. They've got a mission.
I wonder what the mission is. Do you think to go the length?
To go the length of the Western Terrace. It is a monster. It's an anaconda. It's actually joined up now. They've got it joined on the seats. They've got it resting on some seats. Some maintenance going on as well towards the end. Broad's got 2 catching covers and 2 slips, changing the field. He bowls to Williamson over the wicket. Williamson's beaten outside the off stump. Wasn't far away. Broad's going all the way down the track Hand on his face. He knows he's not far away from nicking off the New Zealand skipper there.
Well, he nicked him off in the first innings with a little bit of an in-swing of the ball before, and then because it came back into Kane Williamson, the next one was sort of from a similar position on the pitch, and it just moved away slightly and he edged it.
Watching the replay for Chemist Warehouse, that was the traditional outswinger. It wasn't the scrambled seam. It was a nice, true, proud seam. Williamson. He's faced 85 balls for his 37. Facing broad here, and he finds the inside part of the bat, but it spits out towards one or two sweepers on the leg side. Jack Leach coming in from deep square. They get a single. Williamson 38, the lead 101, 132 for 2. One ball left in the over. Now Conway has to face the music with Broad. Will he go short straight away?
I don't think so. I think he'd like to just tease him again outside that off stump with a drive.
Round the wicket to start to.
Yeah, round the wicket definitely to the left-hander. And just say it's almost worth taking the cover out, I think.
Yeah.
And saying, look, there you are. There's the invitation to play the shot.
Well, instead they've got two. And they changed their mind at the last one. They were going to have two catching covers, and Stuart Broad said, hang on, how's about a third slip? And gets what he wants. Ollie Pope jumping over there alongside yes, it is Pope, with Crawley and Root, the other two grippers. Ben Stokes making another change, so backward point moves into cover, so they go back to where they started, more or less. Here come the boos. The beer snake's been put to rest by the security staff as Broad completes his over, delivering here. And Conway, a little inside edge, nearly ended up on the stumps. It came off the bat, off the face of the bat, down towards the off stump. The end of a good over from Stuart Broad. New Zealand 132 for 2 with Conway 6, Williamson 38. SENZ Test cricket for Razeen made in New Zealand for New Zealand conditions.
Want to win the ultimate 2022 Toyota AFL Grand Final VIP experience? Thanks to Choices Flooring, you and a mate could be mixing with the stars at some of the biggest events of the footy season. Experience all the hype of Grand Final week firsthand, then be at the big match itself, the 2022 Toyota AFL Grand Final. Prize includes all tickets, 6 nights accommodation and return flights. Visit iCanWin.com.au and you could win thanks to Choices Flooring. AFL authorised GF promotion, GFAFL 22/07.
A lead of 101. It's now Overton's turn to have a crack at the captain, Kane Williamson. Looks like he might be going round the wicket too, just judging by where Conway's standing and where Overton is at the top of his mark, having a chat to Stuart Broad. So a different kind of test here. They'll go the leg side plan, so they'll start with a fine leg, a deep square, a leg gully, let's call it, deepish leg gully. 2 conventional slips, a mid-wicket, mid-on, extra cover, backward point, and he is going to go round the wicket from the football stand end.
Well, it goes into that sort of semi-blind spot that you have as a right-hander.
Overton to Williamson, bowls here on the hip, hits him on the thigh pad, spills out into the offside, no run.
Sometimes you just don't pick it up quite as quickly. And if you're going to attack someone, sometimes, with the short pitch ball, that's a good area to work with. So it's been a very eventful couple of overs, hasn't it?
Yeah, and they're tweaking every ball too. Joe Root ran up to Ben Stokes, tried to litigate the case for something. In the end, no change made. Overton. When's the short one coming? Bowls here around the wicket to Williamson, who goes back and defends back down the pitch, but not that short, just back of a length. We see England go to the bang it in halfway plan quite a lot. I mean, it's usually Ben Stokes doing it these days. But yeah, it's something they're conditioned to, going round the wicket and trying to make it uncomfortable for right-handers. They gave it a bash with Labuschagne and Smith throughout the Ashes series that was recently completed. Probably didn't quite have the firepower for it. Overton has that tall man, bowls here, Williamson ducks a bouncer, really flies through to Bairstow, takes it with both feet off the ground.
So far, Williamson has avoided playing the hook shot, hasn't he? He's been quite happy to pull the ball when it's lower but not. And he played a very nice stroke off Broad, actually, towards the end of the last session for a boundary. There, that's above his head, and he's let that go very early.
Big gap between Bairstow and Root at first slip. Overton bowls here. It's off the hip, does well. Gets it past the leg gully. Adds a single. He's 39, the lead 102, 133 for 2 the score. Well, they're setting it up for Conway. Will they keep the men back? I expect they will. Matty Potts heading out to deep square leg in front of the Western Terrace, where the beer stake is now gone. And a fine leg and the leg gully. So broadly the same field. Away from the football stand. Overton round the wicket, up to the crease, bowls to Conway. Has to defend from the stumps. He's on 6.
Conway batting in his jersey. Yeah, most of the New Zealanders have been in just the shirt.
We were saying earlier with Phil that New Zealand have done. They may not win the series. Well, they haven't won the series. They've won the battle of the uniforms. Having the cream-coloured jumper goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't like England's uniform in this series. Overton bowls. Oh, gets big on Conway. He just about keeps it down through about 4th slip. A second boundary through that region. Good bowling. And in the end, well played. Conway into double figures with the final ball of the 36th over. New Zealand, 137 for 2.
Real Adventures with Patrick Dangerfield and Aaron Hapgood. Everything fishing, boating and outdoors.
Have you ever just decided to go to the cinemas by yourself? Didn't go to large popcorn because of Kane's feedback last week, and proceeded to have probably the best 2 hours and 17 minutes possibly imaginable. Cinema by yourself, the new Top Gun flick, which is electrifying, and it was just brilliant.
Patrick Dangerfield and Aaron Hapgood. Subscribe and listen today wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to SENZ Test Cricket for Razine, the Paints Kiwis Trust. Nikesh Ragani replaced on the call. Jeremy Coney still with us as New Zealand look to rebuild after the loss of Tom Latham. This partnership worth 12 now between Williamson and Devon Conway. A couple of early boundaries for Conway in his innings. In comes Broad, though, to Williamson, and this one keeps a little bit low. He defends it out towards one of those silly mid-off, Jeremy. A short extra cover, both on the catch, looking to try and get Kane Williamson driving, but that one did keep very low, didn't it? It was a length delivery and just shot through.
Yeah, you get that sort of thing when the pitch is getting older. And if you are a tall bowler and you bang it in hard, you do get variable bounce. Some of them shooting a bit lower than you might anticipate as a batsman. Not very nice.
To Williamson, who plays and misses at this one. It whizzes past the outside edge. Bairstow feigns sort of a crowd catch, almost throws the ball up in the air, but it was well away from the edge of Williamson. But a good delivery from Broad.
It's typical Broad, isn't it? He's done that in the last 2 overs. He's beaten Kane Williamson. This has been a good start by England in this session. New Zealand first ball after the resumption. That one's just an orthodox swing, just a bit of outswing, quite late, away from the outside edge of Kane Williamson's bat, just pushing towards it.
Broad charges in once more, and some Williamson, death touch, just guiding it down towards that deep third region. Maybe a little bit more edgy than he would have liked, but he was looking just to dab it towards the sort of region, all the way to the boundary for 4.
Yeah, probably wanted to get more on that, although maybe looking at that again, was it just a deliberate stroke, just angling away? I think that's more deliberate, actually, looking at it.
Just slightly finer than he maybe would have liked, but it was certainly deliberate. Moves on to 43. Nice bright sunshine here at Headingley now. This evening session as Broad runs in once more, and this time it's on the legs of Williamson. He just flicks gently to mid-on and there is no run.
Good work. That's that in-swinger that he set Williamson up with in the first innings, and then got one that didn't move in. Williamson anticipating it too, just pushed at it and it nipped away and took the outside edge through to the keeper. And let's see what Broad does now. So he's already into a pretty good spell here, quite demanding. Swinging it with conventional swing.
Broad in once more, and this is left alone outside the off stump. But again, exaggerated movement in once it had just passed Kane Williamson. Then it was that kind of thing you were mentioning before yesterday about the swing of the ball and the seam position and the ball swinging when it gets to a certain pace.
Yes.
Kind of swing out of the hand.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Almost sometimes after pitching as well, if the seam is bolt upright, then you get the exaggerated movements.
So often about the wrist position, don't you, of a seam bowler, and it is because you've got the fingers so that you keep the seam upright.
Final ball of Broad's over is defended by Williamson, now to cover, and there is no run. 37 overs gone in this New Zealand second innings. Then they lead by 110. They are 141 for 2.
So what sporting events are you excited for? AFL, NRL State of Origin,
He's going to score the try.
spring racing,
Very elegant. The mighty mare wins the cup by 4.
international touring sports events.
Finals goal saved magnificently.
Ballpark Entertainment can get you there. Ticketing, corporate suites and money can't buy experiences. Get the best access to the best sporting events with Ballpark Entertainment. Making memories. ballparkentertainment.com.au.
SENZ Test Cricket for Razine, made in New Zealand for New Zealand conditions. Jamie Overton then from the far end, the Howard stand out in front of us. Big imposing stand, isn't it, Jeremy? This ground has changed a lot since your time.
Oh yeah, that stand there was nothing like that up there. It was just a little low, squat kind of one-storied stand. In fact, with lots of very iron girders, with RSJs, I call them.
Overton then round the wicket to Conway. Short, it's hammered away just out of the reach of that short mid-wicket fielder. Ben Stokes, I think it is there, diving away to his right. They get the single out to the sweeper on the boundary. Stokes is still on the floor. It wasn't too far away, that one.
It banged in, and this time Conway hitting it. It's certainly person height. And Stokes, it was to his right, wasn't it? And he went hard at it with the right hand. One hand, it was going to be a spectacular catch if it was held. Balletic in the air, but just wide of him. So again, a little bit of luck early on for Conway. He's riding it at the moment.
Overton then into Williamson, continues round the wicket still, and this is short down the leg side, taken by Bairstow, and there is no run. Yeah, the stand at the far end as well. That's where the broadcasters were as well.
We used to broadcast them down there, I remember, and that's where the players also used to change.
Yes.
Away from our left for the first time. We were here then down the other end, and now they come from underneath where we are again.
Did you share the same changing rooms as the rugby players did? Because it's part of the same stand.
Yes, we did.
It was,
Yeah, we did.
Not share at the same time, of course, but use the ones that they use.
Yep.
Yeah, this new structure on the opposite side of the ground, a big imposing green structure that you might see on the TV. Overton in again. This is a good delivery just outside the off stump, defended by Williamson, and there is no run.
I thought the feeling that Williamson had decided he was going to duck that delivery, and he sort of changed his mind halfway through it and saw, I have to play that. And you can see the English players noticed it too, and you can see them applauding Overton. You've upset him there, in other words. Here it is. So he's looking to duck first and then has to play it from a sort of semi-crouched position.
Yep.
Awkward.
Very awkward, but managed to get bat on ball in the end. It wasn't quite short enough for him to be ducking away. Overton in again, another short delivery down the leg side this time, and Williamson just shoulders arms. There's a few oohs and ahs from England, but it was quite comfortable for Williamson, that one.
That was the one that he sort of started to duck. That was the one that Conway got first ball and started to duck, and then realised it was still coming at him because it wasn't as high as he imagined. He had to turn away at the last moment. can be quite awkward. A pitch where the ball is skidding at you and not getting high. You expect it to go. So he's a big man. He's letting it go from quite high, and it's not actually bouncing as much as you think.
He comes again. Another shortish delivery. There's an appeal for a catch behind. It's down the leg side. I think it may have clipped a trouser leg or something like that. But they've gone up really enthusiastically. Overton's in the face of Kane Williamson almost, and Williamson, one of the coolest men on the planet, just gently strolls down the pitch, does a bit of gardening, talks to his partner, and England aren't going to go upstairs for this one. The DRS timer has ticked down to 0. Should look very close. Let's have a look at the Chemist Warehouse replay, Jeremy.
Yeah, it's banged in from round the wicket. And Williamson, I think it's taken his pocket of his trousers as it's gone past. There was obviously a sound, but it's gone past the bat.
Overton then in again, and this is a short delivery and almost tennis ball bounce really, because it bounces quite high, takes the pace out of the ball, and Bairstow takes it ankle high, or almost just bounces in front of his ankles there. So lots of variable bounce already on this pitch, which will encourage New Zealand, who have to bowl last on this, if they can get a big enough total in front of England for them to chase that lead. 112 at the moment, building, but still a long way to go.
Look, New Zealand are going through a hard period here when it's not easy for either batsman, but they've just got to outlast it somehow.
Final ball of this Overton over is full, and it's flicked away very fine on the leg side by Williamson. Bat on that, signalled as 4, so not leg buys. Must have got just a very faint touch on that. Useful runs for New Zealand. Another over gone then. 38 in this innings. They lead by 116 now, New Zealand. They are 147 for 2.
Does Kennards make trade easy? Kenoth. Is iced coffee liquid gold milk straight from the udders of heaven? Kenoth. Do tradies deserve special treatment like a 2-hour delivery promise, equipment swap and service on site, and express load and go service, and heaps more at their local Kennards higher branch? Kenoth! Head to your closest branch to get the Trade Easy experience. Kennards make your job easy.
SENZ Test cricket for Razeen, made in New Zealand for New Zealand conditions. Stuart Broad then to continue here from the Kirkstall Lane end. Around the wicket he will come to Devon Conway. Conway 11 from 9, Williamson 47. He's been out there 102 deliveries. Partnership slowly building here between these two, worth 22 runs as things stand. And that lead, crucially, that's what we're all keeping an eye on, the lead, 116 with 8 wickets remaining in this second innings. In comes Broad to Conway, who drives, but only as far as a short cover fielder on the bounce, but crowd catch.
It's interesting. I mean, New Zealand are being tested on short pitch bowling from one end, Overton delivering it, and he's getting variable bounce, and New Zealanders have to watch the ball very closely and then get out of the way effectively. They're not going to be playing that. It's a wee bit high at times, and both of them have looked a bit uncomfortable. One's been hit at Conway, and at the other end, Broad is just teasing them with in-swingers and out-swingers.
In comes Broad once more, and this is left alone outside the off stump. Nice shape away there from Conway.
And Conway just doesn't want to play too wide. He's still not quite sure where that off stump is. He finds himself playing sometimes a bit wide and trying to push out with the hand. You always want to have the ball hitting the bat closer to you than that. In the first innings, the shot got away on him and he dragged it back onto the stumps from an inside edge. He's got to be careful he doesn't play away from his body here.
Broad. And once more to Conway. This is on the pads and just flicked to short mid-wicket. No run once more. Look at that over there, Jeremy. Just over behind the rugby ground, and even a bit further over to the right. You can see the rain coming down in the distance, can't you? But it usually comes in from the city over to our left, so it might just be passing by this Headingley ground. Not by a lot, but we might just get away with a bit of that dark cloud.
It's starting to get a wee bit darker up to our right, isn't it?
Yeah, just a little bit. do without any delays really at this time of the day. Came nicely poised as it stands. It comes broad again, and Conway leaves alone outside the off stump. Again, good shape.
That's better, Conway. Getting the pad out just outside the off stump, watching it, and sees the swing and lets it go nicely. It's a good leave. Sometimes, it doesn't appear as if anything has happened, but that's a very important part of your game, to know where the off stump is, let it go by a levy, and that's what you want to do. It's like a forward defensive shot without bringing the bat down.
Broad then. Runs in again, delivers, and Conway again shoulders arms. Quite comfortably in the end. That one, again, just gathering a bit of momentum and a bit of extra bounce that time. So we're just seeing that more and more often. The odd one keeping low, the odd one just taking off.
Yeah, it's a bit capricious, isn't it, the bounce? It's starting to, some of them more than others. This is a good little spell from Broad this end, testing the batsmen differently at different lengths. Certainly than Overton, who's running in hard and trying to bounce from around the wicket.
One ball left in this Broad over. Two slips still in place. We've got a short extra cover, a short cover point. Then he comes to Conway again, who again leaves alone outside the off stump. Made an over. New Zealand at 147 for 2.
Download the SEN app from the Apple and Google App Stores. Then get set for all your big moments in sports. Super Bowl 56. One of the all-time against the odds wins. Taken out of midair by the man with the golden hand. Catch up on SEN-created podcasts, recreation, lifestyle, racing, and all of our SEN shows.
The Sounding Board.
Real Adventures Trailblazers, late Australian lives.
Plus, it's now available on Apple CarPlay. The SEN app, your home of sport, from wherever you are on the planet.
Back with us on SENZ Test Cricket for Resume the Paints Kiwis Trust. It looks as though Overton will continue from the rugby stand end. Nikesh Ragani alongside former New Zealand captain Jeremy Coney on the call. New Zealand leading by 116 runs, 147 for 2.
It's getting darker. It's coming closer, I think.
It is. We may get away with just a quick one, although it depends on the wind. It is swirling around up here as Overton continues. With a short delivery, Williamson just sways out of the way of this one. Very blustery today, isn't it, Jeremy? You've got the extra layer on as well. Not as warm as we have seen over the past couple of days, and
they're just circulation problems, don't worry. That's the extra.
Well, we've seen
the blood.
A few of our colleagues with the coats on and the blazers and the extra vests on and the t-shirts.
At such an altitude we are up here.
That is true. We are very high up. Level 5 of this new structure. So it doesn't sound very high, but it is quite a way up. As Overton bowls a bit fuller this time, and Williamson defends off the front foot into the offside for no run. It's those swirly winds, isn't it? Because that stuff that was away to our right, which usually carries on sort of towards our right, is now headed for us. And it looks actually quite ominous at the moment. The sun is nowhere to be seen.
No, it's been blotted out, hasn't it, really, and obscured by this low cloud at the moment, and it's quite dark out on the field.
It is. No floodlights on yet. As Overton charges in again, bangs one in short, and again Williamson thinks about having a cut at that, but just sways out of the way in the end.
Just have to see this off. I know I've said that before, but it's you go through these periods in Test cricket that it is just that. It's questioning, can you get out of the way? Can you leave the ball? The bowler will keep you honest, because occasionally he'll pitch the ball right up and you've got to be watching. It's not as if you can just suddenly leave it all the time. Changes in the field, yes.
So the deep square leg has come about 20, 30 yards off the boundary into a catching position. Same with the long leg fielder, who's come in a little way as well. So expect another One banged in, yes it is. This is a little bit higher actually, a little bit shorter that delivery, and passing Kane Williamson almost helmet high as he just says I'm not interested and leans back, lets it go through to Johnny Bairstow. And if you are wondering why Johnny Bairstow is keeping wickets here for England and not Ben Foakes didn't take to the field with a stiff back, which we all found rather amusing. Keepers have stiff backs all the time, don't they? It's part of the job, stiff back, stiff fingers. But he has returned to the team hotel, Ben Foakes. He won't feature for the rest of today. He'll be assessed overnight ahead of play tomorrow. So Bairstow will keep wickets for the rest of the day and comes over to another short delivery. This is getting all too predictable at the moment. Williamson not engaging at all. And it's another dot ball.
Yeah, that's a bit easier. That's way too short, isn't it? Mile ahead of Williams. That's 2 for the over. But it's been a difficult start to this last session of the third day. You know, testing 40 minutes for New Zealand since the resumption, and the early wicket of Latham just feathering one on the move through to Bairstow.
Delivery from Overton, this time full, and that was the change-up, but negotiated safely by Williamson. 40 overs gone then. And, are we going to have some drinks now? I think drinks are being signalled onto the field, are they? Well, certainly there's a helmet coming out for a couple of short fielders and some protective gear, because Jack Leach is about to come into the attack. Well, either way, we'll take a short break here with New Zealand 147 for 2, after which there'll be a double change in commentary. In fact, one change for now, with Craig McMillan replacing Jeremy Coney, and I will be back with you.
On the SEN app, check out the SENW channel with stars of women's sport at home and abroad. Daisy Clears, Katie Brown, Stephanie Brands. Plus, on the SENW channel, we cover AFLW, Rugby League, W League, netball, cricket, and track the female stars of horse racing and more. For the latest news, interviews, and catch-up podcasts with the biggest names in women's sport, jump on the SENW channel. Download the SEN app now.
Back with us on SENZ Test Cricket for Reseen Paints Kiwis Trust. Nikesh Regani now alongside Black Caps legend Craig McMillan, with Jack Leach being introduced into the attack, and immediately the cameras zoom into those bits of rough outside the off stump of Devon Conway. England will be hoping they can find a bit of magic here. Jack Leach. Macca, it's just meandering along at the moment. New Zealand having to dig in and play out a difficult period.
Yeah, and I've done a good job with it so far, but gee, it's got dark. Looks like it's going to rain. Doesn't look it's far off at all, does it?
Leach into Conway. He does try and find that rough, and Conway is far forward defending into the offside. No, very dark cloud up above, and sort of it's a swirling wind, really. It's hard to predict which way it's going to come in, because you comes in that direction as Leach comes in once again, and this is again defended into the offside, no run. But he's kind of not been doing that, really. If that was the case, it probably would have passed around the back of the rugby stand there and over to our right, but it's sort of coming straight towards us now, which isn't a good sign.
Straight over top of us, isn't it?
Yep.
Very
lingering at the moment. Another delivery outside the off stump, negotiated by Conway with a big stride.
And the rain experts seem to think it will last for anywhere between 40 minutes to an hour. There's rain experts everywhere within any team, isn't there?
There are. We've got a few in this box as well, and it depends which app you've got, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They will tell you different things. Leach continues, and this time he's on the back foot. Conway defending for no run. I mean, Alistair Cook, former England captain, of course, working on this test match over the last couple of days anyway, he was telling me, look, if it's dark, if there's clouds, if you feel a bit of wet, that's when it's raining. Another defensive shot into the offside by Conway. Just take all the science out of it. I mean, he's a farmer, he sort of needs to know these things, and well, then that was his theory. Forget all the apps, just look up
The one good thing is it's windy, so if it does come in, which I'm sure it will in the next few minutes, hopefully it continues on.
Leach in again, and that is a good delivery. Fired into the rough, but negotiated well by Devon Conway. End of the over. New Zealand 147 for 2.
Hey, welcome to Daryl's Dream Interpretations. So, what's your dream?
So last night I met a New Zealander in my dream, that's why I'm here, and he lent me his polar fleece and we climbed a glacier and did some mountain biking, and then we ate oysters with 2 seals called Peter and Jackson who knew heaps about Sauvignon Blanc. What does it mean?
Oh, book a ticket to New Zealand.
That's it?
You bet. Stop dreaming and go. Visit newzealand.com. 100% pure New Zealand.
Back with us on SENZ Test Cricket for Reseen the Paints Kiwis Trust. Nikesh Shrugani alongside Craig McMillan here, and the wind really has picked up. You can see the flags around the ground just clinging to the masts as this dark cloud comes overhead. We can see they do indeed. They've not been turned on as of yet, and in fact there is a bit of a discussion now taking place between the umpires. I'm not sure if the rain has started to fall yet. It's difficult to tell in front of us. I don't think it has, but it's getting very stormy, very blustery, very dark as well at the moment. And with Overton bowling this short stuff as well, it could get pretty dangerous if these lights aren't turned on and something is done. So, yeah, Joe Root coming on from the far end. So they've decided that too dark for the seamers to be bowling.
I'm not sure why the lights aren't on. You can see the weather coming in the distance. Surely someone could have just flicked the switch. We can actually see drops now appearing on our windows. So it is raining. It's light at the moment. Like we were saying, it is blustery and windy, so maybe it might miss us.
It might well do. Well, Macca, I'm going to leave you in the good company of Daniel Norcross.
Thank you, Nikesh. Interesting, Joe Root into the attack. Good partnership this between Conway and Williamson. 22. New Zealand pushing ahead. They lead by 116 now.
Root meanders in. Forward comes Williamson, pushes it to the offside. Fielded. That's point. Well, fielded by Bairstow, moving towards City Point. No run. 147 for 2. The lead 116. Forward short leg slip. Hands in pockets. It's hands in pockets time. Kind of weather. Behind this cloud, it's a very curious sight. So a cut will yield Williamson a single out to deep point. Rain is definitely falling just a little bit. It's absolutely hosing it down away to our left. But beyond that, there is a big blanket of blue sky. So I have a feeling that the players will probably have to come off shortly, but not for very long.
Well,